Today, ladies and gents, I'm going to show you how to make a custom livery on F125. Now, first of all, you will need to download the RP Archiver. I'm not really going to go too much into the RP Archiver because I've already made a video on that many years ago on how to install liveries onto the F1 game. It's pretty much the same process here. The RP Archiver itself hasn't really much that changed. It's just that obviously it's been updated. It's now 9.1. I can't remember what version it was on back on F1 2019. But yes, just so you know, before we go into the textures, there's the three things here. We've got the car model layer, and really this is just a load of JSON files. If you're familiar with coding, basically the only thing I actually have ever done to this is change this line of code here. This is the audio file for the engine as well. Obviously I'm not going to be doing that today. This file I've played around with a lot. This is the performance file for the cars, and you know, and that includes not just the engine, but that includes how the everything, and it's also got all of the upgrades in as well. Today though, we're obviously focusing on creating a custom livery for the F1 game, for F125, and I'll show you how to do that. This decal livery, this is basically all the sponsors basically. Now, first of all, little disclaimer: if you're looking to create something in my team, this isn't the tutorial for you, because my team liveries are separate, where the sponsors and the paint file are in one file instead of two files basically here. So just thought I'd mention that there. We'll come back and have a look at the sponsors in a little while, but obviously we've got the numbers here, yes, we can edit those as well. The two that we're probably most interested in are the 2, 63 and 12. Obviously, if you want to change Antonelli or Russell's number to another random number, then of course you have the option to do so. For example, if one of them was to become world champion, you can then export the number 1 and import that, and just don't overwrite the number 1, because that's not going to do anything. Overwrite the number 12 with the number 1 basically, if that makes sense. As well, for Norris, for example, you know, yeah, obviously we're going to have him as number 1, not number 4 next year as well. Stappen as number 3 obviously as well. Then we come to the paint file. Now you might be thinking, oh my goodness, this looks complicated. It can be, but let's break this down. So first of all, this is actually one of the more complicated paint files. Some of them will just be blobs, and you can see here, for example, if you squint in your top right corner of the screens, there's 2 little blobs. Some of the paint files are just 3 or 4 blobs put together, and that's it. So there can be limitations depending on what chassis they use. Mercedes is pretty open because obviously it's got everything in as well. You'll notice we've got the C and the D files. I don't really tend to bother with the C files. I tend to go with the D files and just overwrite them both. That's how I personally do it. You may choose to do something different depending on what you're after. The S file is also important. This is the paint type that's applied for the car. Again, I know that for the Audi livery, which was this video has asked upon, I changed that to just have a light green texture. And if you want to put chrome on the car, then it has to be a blue. But obviously, if you're changing vast amounts of the car, then it needs to obviously then have, you might want to over drag this into the S file as well. The other one you want to keep an eye on is the wheel. So the F1 cars obviously have wheels. The Mercedes hasn't actually got anything that's decorative, so we're not actually going to bother editing that. But some of the others have got something that's pretty decorative. You may want to change that as well. The McLaren one, of course, if you want to have a Google as McLaren, then make sure that you get rid of the or change the McLaren wheel as well. The other one is the steering wheel decal. If There will be sponsors on here as well, so make sure if you are changing the sponsors, make sure that you'll need to change that as well. But that pretty much this one works pretty much the same as the sponsors, so I'm not actually going to go through that with you, but hopefully that makes sense to everyone as well. But I'm going to start, I think the place to start is with the paint file, so I'm going to export this into Photoshop. And now I've opened the DDS file in, I don't know what DDS stands for, digital design something or other probably. Yes, and if you now the Mercedes is different. The paint file Mercedes is different to the other paint files for all the other 9 cars. It has an alpha channel. Usually, let me just. So this is. I'm just going to load it quickly. So normally for any other car, there isn't an alpha channel on the car. So this is the McLaren. So this is what I was talking about, having blobs, for example. This is the McLaren paint. It's 4 blobs as well. Notice there's only 4 channels. I'll come back what I mean about alpha channel. I'll show you what I mean by alpha channel. And then obviously to save this type of paint file, you just go to, I'll just go to File, Save As. Make sure it's Intel TextureWorks. You do need the Intel TextureWorks add-on. I'll leave a link to where you can download stuff in the comments below, and I'll just overwrite it. It's going to be fine. Now, it's a good thing to set up your presets. There's decal, which is and paint. Obviously, the Mercedes has got an alpha channel, but these are the ones that I'm running currently for paint, which doesn't have the alpha channel as well, which is just color because there's no alpha on the channel there, and then this compression here. As well. This is also the My Team liveries also do not have an alpha channel, so this is where it'll be the same for them, and then you just can override. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to turn the Mercedes into a fully fledged silver livery, and this is where things are going to get interesting. With paint files, it can be a bit of trial and error to try and get what you want. There has been times where I've been at my wit's end because I can't get quite something to look at how I want it to be as well. The best way to do this is to create a new layer. And to do that in Photoshop, you just go down to the bottom right and click on Layer and be done with it. As well. So I'm going to highlight now. There's lots of grades of silver in here. I could just pick the one from the. I was going to pick the one up here, but is that the same? Yeah, it's the same. And then the easiest way to do that is to. That's the predominant color. That's the predominant colour. I think I always find that when recolouring a car, that's the easiest way to do that. Then I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool. You will need to go Magic Wand tool, and all of these 4 are not in the default. Default Photoshop tools, annoyingly. So you need to go into Edit Toolbar, and then find these tools, and then just basically drag them across. As well, trust me, I've been modding the F1 game for a long time now. This does take a long time. It will take you a little bit of a while to look at that. I've selected the wrong thing there. The Magic Wand tool is fantastic, but also frustrating at the same time. So obviously here I'm just literally selecting all the Mercedes little logos here, and basically I'm just going to quickly do this, just pick that black color and then go back to the paintbrush and then just literally paint over my selection onto my new layer. That's pretty much it in terms of getting this look. I like to see I've actually missed a bit. It doesn't, annoyingly, these little sort of selection things, they don't always look the greatest, but we'll quickly do a few things here and then show you finished product. Okay, so I pretty much transferred all the Mercedes. I can't quite remember what they call this. The little Mercedes logos, and of course Niki Lauda's one, to the car. I know that the Petronas green doesn't really go well. There's a little blob up here that was silver. I've turned that black as well. Yeah. Now, because this has an alpha file, we have to do something different. It's very frustrating with Photoshop, but in order to get the alpha file to come up, we have to save a copy. And yeah, I then just overwrite the file. You can, of course, create a copy should you need to, should you wish to. That I'm going to overwrite, and yeah. Then from the presets, I'm going to click on decal because it's got the alpha file. Usually, most of the time, it's just decal and paint art. Well, as I mentioned. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the result. And it is doing some funny things for some reason. Or it looks like it's not imported properly. I'll probably sort that out as well. I haven't had any problems on this game, but some previous games I've had issues reason it's not scaling properly. You can see here that there is a lot of carbon fiber. Notice this bit as well. I haven't actually done anything with this bit, but it looks like the silver arrows that are on the engine cover, which where that bit of carbon fiber is still in silver, which I quite like. So yeah. What if I want to have a chromed Mercedes? Well, that's where the Paint S file will come in. So what I've done here is I've loaded up the paint. This is the Paint S file. Now, you can see here that obviously I don't want there are certain things I don't want to be covered in chrome. For that into the paint file into here. And then I'm going to create another layer just like I was doing here. Now, this time though, the colour that we want to be in chrome is this silver, and this, in order to get it in chrome on the S file, it needs to be this blue here. So yes, I've stolen this from the McLaren chrome livery, so it's going to have basically the same thing, basically the same paint texture as well. Anything that I don't want to be and then I'm obviously going to copy if I get the right file, I'm going to, that's the FIA sticker, and I'm basically going to paint over that. This is what I've pretty much done for the bits that I don't want to be in chrome. Then I have obviously carried the pink file, which I don't believe it has. I think that has a bit more of a glossy feel, but it's not a chromed finish. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the result. Now, the showroom doesn't always project chrome cars in the best of light. I will show you this, what it looks like out on track later in the video. But now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a focus on sponsors. So, okay, so here is the decal. This is all the decal file. This is all the sponsors. Now, there is a little disclaimer that you need to know about. In actual fact, I found out, remember those silver Mercedes logos that are on the side of the car? They're actually here on the decal file. So that can be some little quirks within the game that you can that you just end up finding as well. But yeah, so just be careful. You may think that there can be issues with this, with decals. Decals are usually the ones that are on the front wing, those are here, are grouped together, and then usually you'll see stuff for everywhere else. It can be, however, where logos are duplicated, so you'll have one image, one sponsor here, and the game will duplicate them 3 or 4 times around the car, for example. This is where changing the paint file can get a bit problematic, where you have duplicates. There's also been, on some of the F1 games, some sponsors, for whatever reason, just appear upside down. It really is, until you know what you want to see, a matter of trial and error. And if you want this to look good, you're going to have to put the time into it, I'm afraid. I'm going to do 2 things. First, I've got screenshots up here. I'm basically going to go and identify which logos need to be had their colour changed from white to black, and then I'm going to replace 2 sponsors on the car too, because PepsiCo apparently are sponsoring Mercedes in 2026, and I've just randomly picked 2 of PepsiCo's brands. I've picked 7-Up because 7-Up used to sponsor Jordan 1991. Why not? And somehow I'm going to have to find a little slot for Walkers as well, because why not? I know a lot of you will, if you're not from the UK, you probably don't know what Walkers is. It's basically they're a crisp flavour. They make crisps basically in the city of Leicester. But yes, first of all, let me select those logos that need to be changed. There is one that is a problem, and that's the Ineos sponsor. There isn't a little Ineos sponsor basically, so yes, in actual fact I missed this Snapdragon one down here, I think. Yes was the answer to that. So yeah, this is where screenshots are really helpful, just being able to quickly refer to back to what I've done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer again, and basically I'm going to steal the colour of, now some of these might be different shades of black. Now I should point out, if I was doing this the other way around, I wouldn't be able to do this like this, because the Magic Wand tool can't distinguish between the actual black and this shade of black basically. It's like, well, grey I suppose you can probably say, is, even though yeah, this lighter shade of black basically. So I'd have to get the way to do that would be go to the alpha channel and select from the alpha channel. So that's just something to bear in mind. Go away. So what I'm going to do is basically use the paintbrush and just basically colour all of these in. So yeah, once I've done, deselect, and then you notice there are white bits behind this. This is why I've created a new layer. I'm going to go select the background, make sure the background's selected, change the colour to black, absolutely black, and then just literally wipe the original logo away, and you can see then it cleans everything up. What I will tend to do is I'm going to merge these 2 together, because trust me, I like because that will make sense. So that's stage 1, really, identifying what logos need to be changed. Now I'm going to change some logos themselves. So I'm going to make some changes to these logos. So for the Walkers one, I know that it's iconic to have the Walker's logo, but to be honest, I'm just going to just take the word branding out. Again, I'm also going to change the style of it. So this is where I need to identify, well, where do I want that logo to be? Again, having a screenshot, you can see where, like, which logos are where. I'm going to pick for this one, the Patronus Premax one. It's right down the bottom. I will show you where that. It's right down the bottom, the end of the rear wing tail plate. If you know what I mean, I'll show you'll be able to see when it is. And basically, I'm going to create a new layer and colour that in. This is because the F1 game, just like with the different shade of black, it also uses different shade of white, and there may be, depending on what type of it, there may be different multiple shades of white. Game. If I put then into Photoshop, then go with this Control T, I can then maneuver it about, size it up. If I go up here, I can then go type an angle basically. If I just basically replace that logo and then go back to the background, highlight the background, and then wipe the Premax logo out. That's how you get a custom sponsor into the game. Or if you want to change your logo, you know. The other one I'm going to do with the 7-Up as well, that you can do. I'm just literally going to replace this G42 logo with that as well with 7-Up. You know, I mean, it's not in a prominent position, so it probably would just be one or two colours. It's not like it's the main sponsor like Patronus is. So yeah, that's half of what you need to do to get a custom sponsor working. So what I'm going to do is, once you've got all your logos in, and depending on how many sponsors you can changing, there might just be one, there might be a whole load of them. You know, you can change the whole car if you really wanted to, as well. It is up to you. I'm going to merge these together. Control E is the shortcut for that. I'm going to go onto the alpha file. Now, the alpha file, if you click on it like that, interestingly, you can see here the two logos we want to get rid of: the G42 logo and the Patronus Premax. I've called it Premax. It's Primax. Excuse me. Logos are still there. If I click and RGB, click on RGB to make this visible, then changes to black. So again, paintbrush, and I'm just literally going to wipe the logos off. Now, one thing, if you're doing a load of them, is you want to double check. You can see there that I've been a bit messy. It's not all awesomely clear, so you just want to come in with the black as well, and be fine with that. So that's fine. Those two sponsors are gone. I'm then going to use this tool. This is the quick selection tool, and basically I'm going to window around all the sponsors, making sure there's none of those. You see this little outer line, making sure that everything is selected. Make sure all the logos, when you do click, it is selected. If it's not, just basically go around again with hover around with your mouse, and then it should be able to then it should then bring them up and make them selectable. Go back to the alpha with a white, go back to the brush tool and make sure that they are in white as well. Again, making sure that everything's visible. If you miss something here, then the sponsor won't render properly into the game. So this is crucial to make sure both layers, you know, we fill them out. And that is it. Basically finished with the sponsors. Let's see what this looks like in game. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it looks. Now, you might think, well, Phoenix 84, the black sponsors don't look great, and trust me, it's the chrome in the in the showroom here. It will look better out on track, but yes, you can see. Let me find the two sponsors. The 7up is there. You can see there that's coming correctly, and then obviously we got walkers on. Is that a tailplate? I don't know what this part of the car's called. Okay, I apologise for that as well. But yeah, you can see there we've got walkers on the tailplate. Let's go and see what this looks out like on track. That is a lot of chrome. That is. I mean, I'm being blinded by it here as well. So first of all, little disclaimer: don't take too much to my driving here. It's not going to be posted anyway. So every time you use the ERP archiver, you can go into time trial with it, but it won't post your laps, so it will revert to whatever fastest lap. So the fastest lap I've currently done was in the Aston Martin. I'm also not on the setup. Also, don't pay too much attention to my driving. Not on my usual controller, but on the Xbox 360 controller as well. Yeah, let me know what this is probably too much chrome, to be honest. As well, let's have a look in the rewind camera. See what it looks like. This is what it looks like externally, and it actually looks quite good. Now I forgot the CrowdStrike logo on the rear wing. This is where you probably come into bits and probably think, oh, I've forgotten about that. Well, that's a simple fix in Photoshop as well, probably just to get that thing. I'll probably go and, if I remember to fix that. If not, it's like that. But yeah, that is, ladies and gentlemen, a chromed F1 custom livery, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you do it on F125. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments below. I hope you have found this informative and useful to go and create your own liveries. As I say, this is probably a tester livery as well. Again, there are limitations with the game, so just be mindful of that as well. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I hope you, as I say, I hope you have found this tutorial useful for the F125 game. But until the next video, then I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.